Hi, my name is Stewart Skinner. I'm a spokesperson with Farmers Matter, and I'm joined here today with the Honorable Wayne Easter, Liberal ag critic and currently running in the upcoming federal election. We're here to talk about the Liberal Party's Rural Canada Matters strategy. Wayne, wanted to talk a bit with you today about the Liberal Party and the Rural Canada Matters strategy. Before we start talking about the specifics for agriculture, something for me, I'm about to get married in a couple months, and to be honest, I'm not sure how my fiance and I are going to get a family doctor in the town of Listowel. Can you talk a little bit about how the Liberals are looking at more than just the farm, but the rural community?
Well, I'm very proud of the Rural Canada Matters package, basically, that we put together for this federal election. Actually, a considerable time before the federal election, that looks at rural Canada and how to develop the potential of rural Canada. Michael Ignatieff is very clear. One of the biggest divides in Canada is the rural-urban divide, and we have to build the policies and the programs to ensure that rural Canada has the same opportunities to prosper as urban Canada does indeed. And so on the healthcare issue, what we're proposing is that we would assist with $40,000 for doctors, $20,000 for nurses, assistance on their tuition for taking their training to be doctors and nurses. That be provided to them on the condition that they would practice in rural areas. That should give us greater numbers of doctors and nurses in rural areas so that rural Canadians have the same access to quality health care as urban Canadians do.
And as a member of a rural community, growing up in a rural community, it's nice to know that we're thinking about the issues. While the farm is the economic driver that pushes those communities forward, we still have to have those services so that we can raise a family. Getting into the more farm-specific components, I'd like to start first with food safety. Can you talk a little bit about the Rural Canada Matters and how it encompasses food safety?
Well, really, in terms of food safety, it comes down to several areas. Food labeling, number one. Quality production standards in terms of the food production itself. Enhancing the both personnel and financial resources of the Canadian Food Inspection Agency to ensure that they have the resources to definitely determine that imported product coming into Canada is produced under equivalent production standards and quality controls as Canadian producers have to meet. It's unfair at the moment that Canadian producers are doing all these costly regulatory production and quality control requirements while producers in other countries do not. So we need to ensure food safety in that regard, but also ensure that there's not an uncompetitive advantage by foreign producers against Canadian producers.
Do you think that consumers really understand the concept of safe food? I mean, at the farm level, we do so many things. With coming from a pork background, we have the Canadian Quality Assurance Program. Our feed mill is HACCP certified. We have all kinds of control points along the system to ensure that food produced in Canada is to the highest level. Does the everyday consumer understand that, they're not getting that high-class food all the time, that sometimes there are things that are coming into our country that are not raised to those same standards that the domestic producer is held to?
To be brutally honest about it, no. I don't think consumers do know. I think there's a tremendous lack of understanding about the whole food production system, where food comes from, what the quality controls are, what the nutritional aspects are, and what the labeling requirements are. And that requires, and we've said that in both our healthy food and safe food component of our national food policy for Canada, that part of the requirement there is making the labeling system simpler and more understandable, but also an educational requirement that starts at youth in school, so that people understand the food production system, the safeguards that go into it, and the quality control it does for Canadian food.
And moving, just staying on that same breath, our neighbors to the south, they have sometimes it's community run, sometimes it's state run, but even there are federal programs where they're buying food for schools. Um, can you talk about the current Canadian approach to ensuring that every child is at least children are having a chance to get a good meal a day?
Well, we have put in our national food policy under healthy food a children's nutritional program, and sadly, it's not enough to cover all children in Canada, but it is a fact that in Canada, too many children in kindergarten, in early grades 1, 2, and 3, go to school hungry, don't have breakfast in the morning. And so the whole purpose of that program is to put some money into ensuring that Canadian quality food products are available to those children when they go to school in the morning to, one, understand what good quality food is about, two, to ensure that they have the nutritional requirements, meet the nutritional requirements, so that they get a good start in life.
And moving on, talking about farm safety nets, as a trained economist, in a perfect world, we wouldn't need any safety nets and the market would take care of us all. But the fact of the matter is we don't live in a perfect world. Can you talk about the Liberal vision for our current approach to farm safety nets here in Canada?
Well, a key component of our national food policy is sustainable farm incomes for primary producers. And under that aspect of the program, we would, number one, ensure that the AgriFlex program, which has been in place for a number of years, actually has the flexibility in it to be used for what producers in provinces want it to do. The current AgriFlex proposal is just basically a slush fund for the minister. Secondly, we need to ensure that the proper research is there to do the research into primary products to assist the farm community. Thirdly, under the safety net aspects, there's a multitude of farm programs out there at the farm level. Some work, some don't. We're saying we would go forward with a clean slate proposal, and within the first year, we take that multitude of programs, go with and have the discussions and the input from the farm leadership and direct from farmers themselves to ensure we put the program in place built from farmers from the farm up rather than Ottawa down. And one of the important aspects of that is the RMP program in Ontario, which was designed by farmers for farmers. A Liberal government under the leadership of Michael Ignatieff will support RMP, and we will ensure that the 60% federal funding for that program is there, so that program can work effectively and be there for primary producers.
Wayne, last question here in our interview, and this is actually moving beyond our own borders. As a young person, maybe I just haven't been jaded by the world yet, but I still see our world as a village. And something when I was going through the program that I found very interesting is that the Liberals took time to talk about the development of agriculture and sustainable production-based research, as well as initiatives such as microfinance in the developing world. Can you talk about why the Liberals have thought it important enough to mention the developing world in their platform when we're talking about a Canadian election?
Well, listen, Canada is part of the global community. And as part of that global community, we have to be involved in everything from peacekeeping missions to assistance to many countries abroad. And, you know, the best way to feed a hungry people is to show them the practice, give them the tools so that they can feed themselves. I think that is that's a responsibility of a country like Canada, and that's why it's in our policy platform, because we are a player in the global community, and Canada will reap returns from that kind of investment. One, in terms of assisting with the technologies and the production tools, and our NGOs assisting people in those countries. And the bottom line is we would have a better world as a result that we can be proud of, having been a part of, to encourage that kind of development.
All right, and with that, I'd just like to take this chance to thank you very much, Wayne. We know that you're busy working hard towards May 2nd, and to take a day to come to Ontario, we're very grateful, and wish you safe travel as you get back to the island.
My pleasure, Stewart. I think the bottom line here that we have to understand is rural Canada is a generator of wealth, whether it's fisheries, farming, mining, forestry. Those industries are generators of wealth in this country, and they did serve the opportunity, and I think the thrust from the federal government to support them, that they can be prosperous and you can have safe and secure rural communities across this country. I appreciate the opportunity.